gosh, that game was so crazy. I am so happy to be here. Welcome, everybody. This is the women's game. We are live. It is just minutes after the final whistle of the Spain versus Germany Euro semifinal. Kling's dog is barking.
Again.
Spain get the win in extra time thanks to an incredible goal by Aitana Bonmatí. I am so happy to be joined by you, my co-host today. Kling, it's such a joy to be with you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. And thank you for allowing my Pomeranians on as well.
I mean, we don't really have a choice, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Kling, I'm dying because obviously everybody who's on here, Kling and I were just chatting briefly before the show started, and we started and hit play on the show, but Kling was still saying something and she got cut off. I can't get her to stop talking to you guys. I'm so excited. Kling, these semifinals have both been so incredible, but it's kind of hard to watch a team that fights so hard go home. Like, my heart breaks for Germany a little bit. What was your reaction to this game?
Oh, Sam, it was like every 15 minutes was a different game. I felt like there was 3 matches in one. It was so fun to watch. And Becky, actually, I have to look up the exact words. We were texting in the middle of it. And this is what she said. I feel like the teams are so tired. The soccer gods are like, let's just F with the momentum every 15 minutes. And I was like, 100%. And I'm stealing that for the show.
Perfect. I know. It's so funny. Sometimes me and Kling will text, me and Becky will text during the show, and they're texting me all these wonderful, wise things. And I'm like, oh, I should remember that so that I say that on the show. I love it. I can't wait to hear more about what you and Becky were talking about. Everybody, if you're new here, I'm just going to tell you what the show is all about. We are going to react to this game live. Kling is going to answer all of our questions. That means that you, our listeners, are here with us, and you can ask us questions about football or life. Here's how. You're going to scan the QR code in the top left of your screen. That's going to take you into a Zoom with our producer, Jordan, who will get you set up to ask your question. It is audio only, so don't be afraid. You're not going to be on screen. We're going to get to those questions a little bit later in the broadcast, but go ahead and get in line now. Make sure you get your question in. For those of you who don't want to ask a question, do us a huge favor. Give us a like. If you haven't already, also please hit that subscribe button and join us on this channel. I see some of you in the chat already. Scott Wilson's talking about Buell, who had so many chances. Rab Daddy 33 is saying that Vicky should have started for Spain.
Hot
take. Little Rose J is saying, let's go Spain. Jamie Lynn, so glad it didn't go to penalties. Thank you for saying what we've all been thinking. I texted Kling right before this game, and right as Aitana scored, and I said, penalties were going to be the end of me. I am so grateful that this went in, and I'm so grateful to be on the show now instead of like 25 minutes from now. Okay, everybody. I gave you the instructions. Kling, let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
Coming into this Germany-Spain game, I feel like the hearts and minds of like the football world were torn in half. Like, obviously it feels for the last few years like Spain have just been on this like level higher than almost everybody else, kind of untouchable. But I also heard a lot of opinions suggesting that today's game was up for grabs, that Germany could beat them. What has been your overarching take on Spain so far in this tournament? Have they looked beatable or have they remained clear favorites?
Honestly, I've thought since the beginning that they've looked like clear favorites. Like, they're really good. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that the soccer gods will always be with you. You may play the best game of your entire life and still lose with one shot on goal against. And you just never know. I think that's why soccer is so incredible. That's why we love watching this game. And that's why we're invested no matter how good the favorite team is.
For sure. I totally agree. I think Spain has looked great. I think obviously, you know, as now analysts, we're like looking for holes in their play. And I think it has been potentially defensively in transition. They have let up a few goals this tournament. They did let up a chance early in the game. I think this is the first big chance of the game about 8 minutes in. Ann-Katrin Berger, Germany's goalkeeper, played a long ball through, and Clara Buell found herself really streaking towards goal, setting herself up for a great shot. It went just wide. And this wasn't a counterattack per se. Like, I think I'm suggesting that Spain is vulnerable in transition. But this play, which was just a direct long ball, did exploit Spain's defensive setup. And I thought that the game was really set up for Germany's wide players, Clara Buell and Jule Brand, to be well set up to try to exploit that back line. So, Kling, I want to hear from you. Spain's back line, this tournament, but really in this game, what did you notice, and what would you have tried to attack if you were Germany?
Something that's really interesting about Spain is that they always have the ball, so they don't actually get as many defensive reps as any other team in the world.
Oh, fascinating.
And yeah, so one of the things that we literally always trained, national team, Thorns, any club team I've ever been on, is how you cover when somebody's going up for a ball. So if your center back is stepping up into space to challenge for a header, you have the two that are next to her dropping and closing space behind. And
Right.
making sure that even if they lose the header, that you're closing down gaps and they have to go wide. What we saw is that Spain didn't do that at least twice. Like, it wasn't just that one time, it happened
Yeah.
a few times. And I think what we're seeing is that Spain just doesn't usually deal with those type of defending scenarios very often. And we're seeing that when you're not getting the reps, that you're not necessarily used to doing like the most normal things. But when you watch Germany on the other side, they're doing that every single time. And that's what makes it
Yeah.
really hard to break them down because they're always covering. It's like, oh, you beat one, but now there's another German player. Why is there always another German player? It's because they are so used to doing the cover. And so I don't know if it's because Spain doesn't practice it as much as other teams because they just have so much of the ball, but they clearly need to have it in their mind for the final.
I mean, I have never really thought about it that way, that, like, it's almost just like
Midfield.
Spain s yeah, call me out. It's almost just like Spain, like, lacks, yeah, like you said, reps doing it in games because they so rarely have to.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna get to this in a little bit, but Spain had, like, almost 80% possession this game, and I just think that for a team that, like, this is all in the media. Everybody's like, what's Spain's weakness? And everybody is like, defensive transition. I just think that they would like have their own analysts going, hey, coach, players, like, we're vulnerable in defensive transition. We need to train this. We need to focus on it. We need to really work on it. I just think that they're so optimistic when they have the ball that they're sending numbers high.
Mm-hmm.
Their wide outside backs are getting high. And then it is just leaving the two center backs, who even one of them sometimes is like getting
Yeah.
up into the attack. It just leaves them so vulnerable. But I totally agree against a team like England, who, my gosh, just seem to be having their way this tournament, even at the last minute. Spain is really going to need to like focus on that and make sure that they're not letting the other team get all of these chances. I think it's obviously easy to like point out any weak spot. The one thing, this is the one area where somebody can point to a weak spot for Spain, because as you start to move up the field, their technical ability, their tactical awareness, their ability to just like exploit spaces, maintain possession is so exhausting to play against. I want to
Yes.
talk about their midfield. Obviously, Aitana Bonmatí, Alexi Putellas are both able to, what I like watching about them, they're both able to make runs in behind. They're both able to check back to get the ball into feet. Aitana has that real discipline to stay in the pocket. They can find the ball centrally. They can find it wide. They can dribble. They can pass. And we're always talking about them, but Patri Guijarro had an incredible game today as well in the sixth position. She was consistently effective on both sides of the ball. Spain's midfield is an embarrassment of riches. Kling, you talked to us about Spain's midfield. I know you mentioned to me during the game that you like how they switch the point of attack.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with Spain's midfield like every other person in the entire world. But the reason that I like it so much is because a lot of times when national teams, even club teams are attacking, they'll switch the point of attack, but usually it's through their back line. And so you're literally going around 11 players and switching it through your back line to start going down the other side of the field. But what Spain does so brilliantly is that they'll actually switch it through their midfield. And by doing that, you're taking out 4, 5, however many players, and only attacking against 4 or 5 instead of 11.
Yeah.
And what's really, really great about it is that they're just so fluid and they take space. They're not like the type of team that just stands in space. They're the type of team that like floats into the space, which I personally am a huge fan of that style of play. I don't really love standing in space. I love when people move into the space. And so when they get the ball in these areas, it's so much more dangerous. And the defensive team, Germany, has to react to them having the ball in the center of the pitch instead of when they can kind of rest and reset when it's with the back line. when it's with a midfielder, it's so much more dangerous because there's way less players. But then also the point that they're driving forward from is sometimes there's just a back line. So the back line has to shrink and like make sure the holes in between each player are really small to force them wide, which they don't have to do when it's going around the back line.
Right.
And the reason that matters is because then you can start to play these like slicing balls outside that kind of like give 1v1 players a really amazing opportunity to run at these outside backs with very little cover.
Totally agree. That explanation of why Spain's midfield is so dangerous to play against was so perfect. I'm seeing also such great comments in the chat that I'm getting distracted listening to Kling because I'm reading what everybody's saying. And I'm like, the people listening, the people here putting stuff in the chat are so smart. They know exactly what they're talking about. It's like so fascinating. I want to talk about Spain's first real opportunity. It came in about the 21st minute, and it was almost some Gotham on Gotham crime, Kling. A missed touch from German left back Ket set Esther up for a shot from around the PK spot, but Ann Ketchenberger tipped it over the goal. Especially in this first half and even deep into the second half, Anne and Esther were two of the most important players to watch today. Obviously, they both play in the NWSL for Gotham, so like I have my eye on them. But they've both just been so notable this tournament for each respective national team. Esther is leading the tournament in goals with 4. Anne has had one of the most incredible games against France last game in that quarterfinal. Kling, I do want you to talk to us a little bit about the experience of like playing a club teammate on the international stage. We kind of saw this exchange between Anne and Esther, like a little love tap when Anne kept saving Esther's shots. What is that like? Are they actually joking around, or is Esther like fuming?
I feel like it really depends on the people. Like if I was going against Sink, for instance, and I gave her a little love tap, she would be absolutely fuming at me. But then we would laugh about it afterwards. And then if I did it with Becky, if Becky was like on a different team and I did it with Becky, she would just like kind of ignore me, I feel like. So it just really depends on who it is. If it was me, I would probably be joking around with them because I truly love seeing my teammates out there no matter what team we're on. Like I'm rooting for them, even though, they're on the other team. I don't want them to win, but like I still want them to have fun and like be proud of their performance and like all these things. Like can't both teams just have fun? And I just really feel like it depends on the players. I don't know Esther or Berger that well. I just know them from like watching them in the league, but it seemed like they were having a fun time going at each other, to be honest.
Totally. I think they've both been such standout players this tournament. I mentioned this a few minutes ago, but I did check the possession stats about 30 minutes into the game, and it was 80% possession for Spain, which like it started to feel appropriate. Like I'm not going to say that Germany had some good chances, but as the half wore on, Spain was just keeping the ball in Germany's half, and Germany, I think especially around this time, the end of the first half, the middle of the first half, they couldn't connect on their way out. They'd win it back and they'd lose it right away. And to me, I started to be like, Germany must be tired. Remember, Germany played most of their last 2 games with only 10 players. And it's exhausting to defend in your own half against a team like Spain who are doing all of these small, tight passes that require you to step out, come back, step out, come back, shift, step out. That's exhausting in and of itself. But it makes that decision to connect your first pass when you win the ball back so much more important. Otherwise, you're just back to doing those sprints again. Can you talk to us about what you saw? Why couldn't Germany maintain possession for that block in the first half?
Yeah, that's arguably the most important pass in defending. Like you get it back. What are you going to do with your first pass? Yeah. What are you going to do? And then the second pass after that is like very closely almost just as important as that first pass, because sometimes you can make one quick pass and then they jump all over it. It's like, how can you get it away from them to a space where you can start expanding your team? And Germany just never got to the place in that time period where they were able to get into big shape. They were defending for their lives and they were just in small shape the entire time. And what's really interesting about that is that, like, obviously you can't attack very well, but it also makes it hard for Spain to attack. And I thought that was a really interesting part of the game as well.
You texted me about that, and I wrote down that it must have been so frustrating for Spain to have to play against that. Spain, of course, can break down organized defenses, but it did take them a long time to do that today. And I almost feel like sometimes we would say this with the U.S. Women's National Team, like when you're playing against a low block, you almost want them to break out of that and to send numbers high up the field, and then you get to transition on them. So I agree that I think Germany's inability to break out and like get any kind of attack going. It was really only like a 10-15 minute spell that they just absolutely could not keep it. But that in turn must have been so frustrating for Spain. I feel like for a defensive unit with so much change happening for Germany, I mentioned the 2 red cards. They also lost a huge defensive presence with Julia Gvin less than 30 minutes into the tournament. So Germany has had players in, out, red cards, 10 players. Their defensive unit has not been consistent this whole tournament, but for so much change, I feel like it was a solid first half against Spain. Obviously, they gave up some chances, but it's Spain. You're going to give up some chances. And I think eventually they did start to show their tiredness a little bit. Like all of those changes started to maybe weigh on them. The half ended with at least 2 great chances for Spain, one of them being that long ball to Esther, who took that sick touch, got saved by Ann-Katrin Berger. One of them was a turnover forced by Claudia Pina. That was saved by Ann-Katrin Berger. So now I want to talk about Ann-Katrin Berger holding together this German back line despite all of these changes, all of these disruptions, all of these Spain attacks. How important is she for Germany?
She's so important. And I think you even see how important she is on the goal too. Like, we'll get to that, I know, but she literally kept them in a game where they almost didn't have any business still being in it. And that's the difference between having an average goalkeeper and a world-class goalkeeper. And I truly think that she's world-class. Not just with her hands either, with her feet. Like, she could be playing on the pitch. Like, why does she go so good with her feet?
I know. I'm like, everybody watch your back.
She's like a 6.
She's coming for your spot.
Yeah, she's like a 6 at goalkeeper. It's insane. But it's just so important to have that extra player. It truly allows Germany to take the heat off when you have such a great goalkeeper with feet like that. So sometimes teams will target the goalkeeper because they know that their feet are average. And so when you pass back, they'll like take a chance to get pressure higher up the field. And Spain can't do that because Berger is just so good. Short passing, long passing, like even quick passing, drawing somebody in and then breaking a line. I mean, she can literally do it all. I'm so impressed by the way that she can play make from inside her own box with such like calmness.
I know. It really is like so impressive. I have loved watching her this tournament. I feel like these teams went into halftime, especially with Germany's, that I mentioned this block in the first half where they just could not connect that pass. And then Spain have these really close chances. But I feel like whatever Germany did at halftime was really good. I'm like, maybe you guys had a snack. Maybe you got really good instructions. Maybe you just like got galvanized together because they were a lot more positive in possession when they came out the start of the second half. They started the half with a few chances. Kling, I'm wondering, like, what is the most effective thing, do you think, for a team to do at halftime? What do you think Germany spoke about? And then also tell us like what your go-to halftime snack is. Like, what saves you?
Can I do halftime snack first?
Obviously. I hoped you would.
Okay, great. Well, I used to like eat these little nature bars. And then I realized that they were like so dry that I was like the Sahara Desert.
I know exactly the one. They were like the healthy Fig Newtons.
Yes.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Shout out to Fig Newtons though, because I literally love Fig Newtons.
Fig Newtons would not be dry. I'm just saying.
No.
So those were it. And then I was like, oh, I cannot continue on this path. And so I reverted back to gummy bears and bananas.
Oh yeah, fair. That's great.
Not necessarily like the gummy bears, but like, the one that come in the packs, like the Mott's.
Yeah. Like fruit snacks.
Oh yeah, the fruit snacks.
The fruit snacks. I would maybe do like, if I could stomach it, like a half peanut butter and jelly.
Wow, that's impressive.
I know. I got a stomach of steel, Kling. Okay. Germany, hopefully they ate some, fruit snacks, gummies.
Yeah.
No nature bars. But what do you think they did do at halftime to kind of like re-galvanize and come out? Like I had started being like, they must be tired. And then they came out great.
I know. I think they changed their tactics a little bit and they're like, you know what? Let's get after them. And I think sometimes when your coach says, okay, we're going to absorb, it starts to get in your head where it's like, oh, we're backing off. We're backing off. And you get tired because you feel like in your mind, you're on the defensive. But when a coach switches up tactics and the team switches up tactics and we say, oh, you know what? Actually, we're going to go after them because we think that we can take it to them and that we can start to own certain spaces out on the pitch.
Right.
And I think that is kind of like a change in the mindset.
Totally.
When a coach says that, when the team says that, like, no, let's get after them. Let's make this our game. Put them in spaces we want. Exactly. And so I don't think Germany was actually tired. I think they were just like mentally exhausted from being like, oh, we have to absorb. This is our game plan. It just kind of messes with you when the other team just keeps coming at you and you have to defend. And so then when you say, oh no, we're going to take it to them, then I think you start to get energy again.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's what we saw. Germany came out great. Spain came out. They had some chances of their own. There was this one really great play from Spain. It was this build-up play that then Aitana Bonmatí cut inside onto her left foot and was like, you could just see the path that she saw and you're like, wow, I'm inside Aitana Bonmatí's mind, even though obviously none of us could ever be. The shot got blocked, but Spain's attack didn't really seem as there weren't as many chances, as close of chances in that beginning of the second half as we saw in the first. Salma Paraguayo came on for Esther, which was kind of this new promise of fresh legs, a new approach up top. Aitana Bonmatí really started like buzzing around the goal. I want to talk about her really quickly. She was sick before this tournament. She was hospitalized with viral meningitis right before the tournament, which is crazy. She had not scored a goal in the tournament until today. Spoiler alert. Kling, what makes Aitana so special? Like, what do you see when you watch her play?
She's insane. I mean, there's really no other way of saying that. Like, I see that somebody says she's Messi, but she's not. I think it does her a disservice to compare her to Messi. She's her own thing. And I love that, like, people think that's the greatest compliment. But I think we need to reset the narrative because Bonmatí, like, literally does stuff that I don't see Messi do. And she is so amazing. She's like a workhorse. She will literally track down anyone. She will cover ground. She will float into spaces that just like make everybody's head be on a swivel. She breaks lines. She's tricky AF on the ball. And then like her final passing always has the perfect texture, perfect weight. And like her vision is just like, I just like don't even understand. Like, what is she gonna look like when she's not sick on the world stage? Like, give us all a chance.
I know. It's been unbelievable, like, watching her. Especially in this game. We're gonna get to the goal in just a second. I mean, what I really like about her as a midfielder, and I feel like this got drilled into my head, especially in 2019, was like how the most dangerous place for you to be is inside the pocket because you're actually asking the most questions of the most defenders, but you're at the same time giving yourself the most space and time to make a decision. The thing that's crazy to me about her is that she'll be in that pocket and then she can go any direction out of it. She could like dummy it. She could flick it. She could like receive it and go back. She could one touch it any direction. Like her options feel endless, whether she's in the pocket or not. And it's just like, I think for so many players, their options are like bump it back the way it came or like turn. And it feels like I don't even know what other options exist, but it feels like for Aitana,
they're up here.
She knows. And that's all that matters. Germany were really keeping themselves in it quite stubbornly. A lot of the talk in the commentary was they have significantly less depth available than Spain. They had some injuries this tournament, multiple red cards like we've talked about. But they did have, again, really good defensive discipline, not dissimilar from Italy yesterday, who we kept praising in this show for just their defensive discipline and ability to like withstand attack after attack. But Germany had so many numbers central, Kling, and you and I started talking about, does Spain just need to have more width in their attack?
Yeah, we did. We were like, I think I set it up as like a question. I was like, hey, Sam, do we think that Spain maybe needs a little bit more width in their attacking third? And Sam immediately wrote back and she was just like, yes. Like, no extra.
Guys, I was busy. I was busy preparing for this. Kling's feeding me information. But then the very next play,
Yeah,
Spain got it out wide and had a cross and like a really close chance. And I was like,
a really good chance.
Kling's a genius.
I don't know about Kling being a genius. I think we're geniuses. But anyways, it was just interesting because they would bring numbers forward and they would have these really great runs from their outside players, from their midfielders, trying to make the German backline unbalanced or drop, which they did. But then when they when they had to like recycle it around, there was no option to like pull Germany out wide again. And they truly needed an option, whether it's an outside back, whether it's a 7 or 11, to be able to pull Germany across the pitch. Otherwise, they can just sit right on top of the 18, defend with very little space in between each player, and just make it super hard to get any chances. And then when we saw Spain actually move the width into those spaces, we saw them get end line, we saw cutbacks, we saw crosses, we saw dangerous chances. And even if you don't use the width, even if you don't get into a 1v1 duel, it still pulls the team out of shape, because then an outside back has to go defend. Then you're left with 3 defenders on top of the box instead of 4. So automatically you're creating a different picture that the German team has to figure out. Because when you pull somebody out of shape, that's a lot more questions than if you just stay in shape.
Totally. I think that's exactly right. Especially when a team is sitting lower, you have to find the space somewhere. And out wide is usually, if you can't do it in transition, you have to make the field like maximum width so that you can like find spaces to exploit. I think that Germany, it felt in this game like Germany could score. If they were going to score, it was going to be off a set piece. They found themselves with a free kick in the 85th minute. The game's winding down. It came so close to going in. It went just wide, but I think all of us for a second were like, oh my God, they just scored. Spain also had some last minute chances of their own. There were a couple crosses almost coming through for Paraguayo. I just like couldn't believe this game was 0-0. Germany had a much better second half, but Spain had 17 shots with 7 on target in regular time. That's a lot. 7 shots on target for this quality of a team is really good. I felt like they needed more clinicality in the box. Kling, do you think that's like a fair assessment?
What do you mean by more clinicality in the box, Sam?
I think that if it was the U.S. women's national team who had 17 shots, 7 on target, and 0 goals, we would be getting yelled at.
I think you're probably right.
And I think it's just that composure, whether it's on a cross or a shot from distance, to get it on target, but to finish it. Like, that's clinicality, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. And also, a credit to the German team, though, because I felt like they were pressuring so quickly and were getting like close enough to affect the shot taker. And typically, like when you see that many shots, you're not like the team isn't doing a good job defending, but actually Germany was doing a good job defending. That's why this is such an interesting case. Yeah, I think it's a credit, to be honest, because like they were not getting 100% clear chances, like maybe 1 or 2. But then Germany was defending for their absolute lives. And I was just so impressed by the commitment that they had to making it difficult for the Spanish team and just how much effort they put in.
You know what? Totally fair. I will also add Germany had Anne in there. So what are you going to do? You can't. True. 7 shots on target is not enough to get by Anne. No. The very last play of the game was actually a double save from Spain's goalkeeper, Catacoy, which I feel like was maybe her way of being like, Anne Klingenberg is not the only goalkeeper on the field, everybody. I'm here too. There was a deflection that like from a shot from distance that like had the ball really like high up, kind of like an air ball, a pop fly. What are they called?
A deflection? I don't know.
I'm thinking baseball when it's
I see.
From up high. So she was backpedaling. She had to bat it out of the top corner and then obviously save the rebound as well. that was an incredible last play of the game, keeping Spain in it, but obviously sending us all into extra time. Kling, after yesterday, I was like, extra time, my heart can't handle it. What do you think? Do you love it? Do you hate it?
Well, I'm not sad that we get to watch these two teams play awesome soccer for 30 extra minutes. And I mean, I probably have a few extra gray hairs and wrinkles now because that was outrageous. I mean, I scared my Pomeranians. I had Ingrid, my girlfriend, coming in. I'm like, come watch this right now. I think the neighbors were probably calling the super, trying to say,
They're having a
get,
party
yeah,
or something.
get them out of here. And I loved it though. It's just so fun. This is just how the game is supposed to be, and like what a tournament.
I know.
We can't ask for a better tournament. Not the
I know.
Palms. That's so funny.
No, I also see Dwight Bell telling me it's called a blooper, which I love, with a ball that goes up, a bloop.
I never heard that, but I'm now using that.
Me too. That's like a now TWG official term for one of those like awkward like high shots. Kling, yes. Incredible tournament. Incredible to like get extra soccer out of it. Like, yes, my heart is pounding a million miles an hour, but it's like, this is incredible. This is the first time that both Euro semifinals have gone into extra time, which I also kind of think is like a testament to how closely contested these games are and how like well fought these teams are, like matched up against each other. The first period of extra time, again, tightly contested. Germany was like really having to 1v1 defend with everything they had. Clint, can you just bring us into the minds of the players at this point in the game? Exhausted, desperate, like talk to us.
Totally exhausted and desperate. And also like, this is me. And this is my moment. And this is what I was born for. And this is what no, sorry, back up. This is not what I was born for. This is what I have trained for. This is what I have earned by all of the moments that I have put into this. And I really feel like players need to be able to put their exhaustion aside and not focus on that and be able to focus on what they can do. And that's what we saw Germany do. And it was so cool to watch because you saw these players be like, okay, it is literally on me. I am the only player standing in between any of these Spanish superstars and the goal, and I'm going to step up. And we saw that numerous times. Shots blocked, 1v1 duels won, blocked for corners, like pressures. I mean, they were just all over the pitch. And don't get me wrong, I feel like they were getting pulled out of shape a lot. And so they were having to emergency defend. But that's just soccer sometimes.
That is soccer sometimes. And it's also soccer sometimes to just put your whole heart and soul on the line for your team and to still lose on a near post shot.
Oh, we have to dig into this.
We've got to get into the goal. Okay, obviously, something that has always been true and always will be true, big players come up in big moments. Aitana Bonmatí, two-time Ballon d'Or winner, finds herself in a pocket of space in the box, receives the pass by like letting it run through, turning onto it, and then with no angle and no really other option, finishes near post, past Anne Katrine Berger. Something I would have not put money on if I had seen it happen already. Puts Spain up 1-0. This is Aitana's first goal of the tournament, came at the perfect time. Kling, how did this go in? Talk to us about what you saw.
This is crushing because I feel like Germany did everything right there except for Berger. She needs to have that covered. So as an outside back, I would work with my goalkeepers all the time about how to maximize our opportunity for like keeping them out of the net. And so typically as an outside back, I wouldn't go for a block sometimes. I would go for an angle to make sure that it's super obvious for the goalkeeper. And that's exactly what the German defender did. So if you actually watch back,
that's her own, actually her best option. So all the goalkeeper has to worry about is the near post shot.
Correct. So if you watch back, you'll see that the German defender actually has such a great angle and would block any cross that was coming in to any of the players. And she made it so obvious for Berger. And all Berger needed to do was watch the near post. So I don't really understand why there was such a disconnect for Berger in that moment, especially because she doesn't usually have those type of moments, especially in these big matches. We've seen her step up time and time and time again. And now we're seeing her in this spot where I'm like, oh, wow. Everyone knows that near post is really tough on goalkeepers, but like, do they know why? And what I've just explained is why, because now that defender has literally given Berger the most clear opportunity to make a save, and not like a hard save, just like a you need to be in this spot kind of save. So it was just really confusing to me after seeing her do all of these things regularly and then have her not do it in this one really big moment. It was hard. It was really hard because I root for her.
I do too. I love Anne-Catherine Berger. I root for her. I see some comments of some people suggesting that maybe she was looking out to organize the defenders in front of her, and I want that to be true, but I guess it just doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and also like what's the most important thing, you know? Like it's the
Ugh,
goal. Like the goal is the most important thing. Like you have to be able to you have to organize them earlier.
I know.
And she usually does. And I think this is actually a really great moment to say, like, this happens to every great player. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're Bonmatí or Berger or, the best in the history of the game. It just happens sometimes. Everybody makes mistakes. We're human. We can't be perfect. And it just sucks when it's in such a big moment.
I know. I don't even know how to respond because I'm like, here we are. Anne had an incredible game. She made so many saves. She is so great at playing out. She's like such a heartbeat of this German team. And then
Yep.
to make a mistake in the moment where it matters is so gut wrenching. I still think she had an incredible tournament. I think your insight on this, Kling, is fascinating because as a midfielder, I don't necessarily know how much you work with your goalkeeper on exactly that. Sometimes as a midfielder, I think I would do whatever I could to block the cross.
Yeah, we know.
But I was like, yeah, Sam, I can read you. I can read you like a book.
I cannot tell you how many times midfielders in that
Slide to block
situation
across, and
would
you're like, you
slide,
don't have to slide.
and then it goes through their legs, and it goes into a crossing moment.
Grow
It's
up,
like
midfield.
you just literally have to take away that one area, and then the goalkeeper, like we would literally parse it out. I'd be like, okay, I'll take away from the 6-yard line and back, and you take away everything inside that 6.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes the thing I do remember in small sided was always being like, if you can cut down their angle so much that, yeah, the goalkeeper will save it, just don't let them come back. Like, I'd rather have them like shoot with their weak foot, which is exactly what happened today, than have them cut it back to their strong foot, or I guess cross it. So maybe I do know about this, Clay, and I'm just pretending like I don't for Anne's sake.
Midfielders.
Midfielders.
Gotta love them. Gotta love them.
I know. All right. Incredible goal by Aitana. Devastating for Germany. But Spain are on to the final. They're going to be playing England on Sunday. Very exciting. I am excited to hear from all of you, though. There is so much more to discuss, so I hope you've come with some good questions. And it's that time of the show where we get to hear from you. So if you're going to join us here live on YouTube, scan the QR code in the top left of your screen, or you can click the pinned comment in the chat. You'll go into a Zoom with our producer, Jordan. Jordan will tell you everything. You're not going to be on camera. Don't worry. If you don't want to ask a question, please just do us a favor and give us a like. Okay, on to the question. So when I call your name, remember to take yourself off mute, tell us where you're from, and then ask your question. Up first, we have a TWG Live regular. It's Avery. Hi,
Yes!
Avery.
Hi, Avery.
Hi, Sam and Kling. It's Avery, and I'm from Richmond, Virginia. And sorry I missed yesterday's live. I had my end of season swim party, and I saw you had a swim race with Kelly in Lake Tahoe, and I'm going to Lake Tahoe in just a few weeks, and I plan to swim just like you did, but not in a race.
Oh my
Cute.
gosh, Avery. Okay, first of all, let me interject for a second. It's totally fine that you missed yesterday. No big deal, but we did miss you. 2, I'm so glad that you went to your swim party. I'm so excited that you're going to Lake Tahoe. And 3, thank you so much for acknowledging my swim race. Avery, it's so great to hear from you. Do you have a question for us? What'd you think of the game?
Yes. It was good. And my question, well, it was very exciting.
It was very exciting.
and stress. And my question is, in this game, Germany played a 5-4-1, unlike last game when they played a 4-1-4-1 against France, and Spain kept the same formation and only replaced one player from the last game against Switzerland, unlike Germany, who replaced 3 players. Do you think the formation changes had to do with opponents or just them switching things up? And Chester and my other dog Turtle says hi.
Hi.
Oh my gosh. Hi to the dogs. Kling, do you know that Avery and I both have a dog named Chester?
That's so cute.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I know, we're like besties. Okay,
Aw.
Avery, I think a couple of things. I'm so glad that you know all of this about the formations. I did notice that Germany, at a lot of times today, seemed like they had 5 across the back.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's partly because, like I mentioned during the show, they lost their captain and defender, Julie Gavin, early in the tournament and have had to make a lot of adjustments, but they've also had a lot of defenders getting red cards, getting injured. And so I actually feel like defending with 5 against Spain in a 5-4-1 is so smart. I do think, though, Kling, we mentioned how in the first half maybe they were kind of on the back foot because they were sitting so deep and playing so conservatively. Do you think that this worked for them because they went so long without conceding a goal?
Yeah, I think it's actually a smart thing to do. I mean, as long as you can get back on the front foot in the second half, which they did, it seems like brilliant play because the longer Spain goes without a goal, the more deflating it is. And as Germany just keeps taking away chances, and just makes it really hard, it kind of slows the game down for Spain, which is what they want. And I think we saw that happening today a bit. And then we saw Germany start to get a little more momentum in the second half with their front footedness, starting to pressure her a little bit higher up the field. It just seems smart not to try and go toe to toe with Spain from the very first whistle.
Yeah, it could have been a much different game. Avery, that was such a great question. Everybody's obsessed with you in the comments. I hope that you see that. Everybody's calling you Analyst Avery.
Avery, do you have a notebook?
No.
How do you remember this?
I put it in my notes app.
Oh,
She has a phone.
this makes sense.
The young generation. Avery, last question for you. Who do you think is going to win on Sunday, Spain or England?
England.
Wow,
Okay,
hot
everybody.
take.
Heard it here first. Avery's got her money on England. Avery, thank you so much for calling. We love hearing from you.
No problem. I'll be back.
Okay, sounds good. We'll talk to you on Sunday. All right, Avery. Everybody loves Avery. Up next, we've got Grace. Grace, can you take yourself off mute?
Hello.
Hi, Grace.
Hi, Grace.
Hi, I'm Grace. I'm from Monterey, California.
Amazing.
And
Thank you so much for calling in.
yeah, thank you. I've been meaning to get myself on here. Finally have a day off, so I was able to tune in.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
Well, we're so happy to hear from you. How are things in Monterey, California?
Amazing, beautiful, 65 and sunny or great weather as always.
Chef's kiss.
Gorgeous. Grace, what's your question for us?
So yeah, I was just honestly, it doesn't really have to do about the technicals of the game, but I was just curious, especially after seeing that Esther and AKB jersey swap, how does that go? Do you all pre-plan it, or does it just happen naturally after the game? And just especially for players like Aitana, I'm sure many players want to swap jerseys with her. So is that just whoever asks her first? And then do you guys all have just a collection of other players' jerseys you've swapped with in the past?
Kling, why don't you take this one?
Well, I think it just really depends. The only person I've ever really been save your jersey for me was me and Becky in our last games with Portland. And we swapped jerseys after our last game in Portland together. And then everyone else has just kind of been spontaneous or after the fact. So I have a few players' jerseys where we swapped, but it wasn't necessarily right after the game. And I have a pretty cool collection of jerseys from different countries and stuff like that. But it's just a really fun precedent, and it's just such a fun part about soccer that doesn't happen really in other games. And I love it. What about you, Sam?
Yeah, I think it's like a great tradition of the game. I feel like, and I don't feel like I like did it as much as you'd think. I traded jerseys with my friend on New Zealand Rosie White, which was awesome and like so special, and I loved doing that. But I think for a time with the national team as well, one, like nobody ever really asked me to trade jerseys, like so let's put that out there first and foremost. But then also I felt like I wasn't really asking anybody to trade jerseys either because I was like so attached to my own jersey because I knew that if you traded one, then you like didn't get to keep your one from the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just like, I like need mine. Like I feel like people would ask you for a game worn jersey, like for a charity or for a friend or for like a family member. So I felt like they had so much value to like my community
Totally.
that I didn't often trade them. Obviously, like there were some really special moments with players that I played against where I wanted to trade, and it was like so special to do that. One of them being trading with my really good friend on New Zealand, but it just wasn't, I guess, that common, though I like love the tradition and like wish I did it more.
I think we need to talk to U.S. Soccer about this scarcity mindset. Like, why do we not have 4 jerseys a game? I mean, what are they going to do with Mewis jerseys that have already been like packed and used? Like, just give them to you.
Well, if they have any left, I would gladly take that. Grace, I love that question. Thank you so much for calling in. I'm so glad you got the chance to today.
Thank you, Grace.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, we have time for probably 2 more questions. Lauren from Sacramento. I told everybody where you were from. Can you take yourself off mute?
Possibly.
Come
on, Sacramento. Where are you at?
Man, Sacramento doesn't.
Oh my gosh! Hello.
Yes,
Hi,
Lauren from Sacramento.
Oh my gosh! Hi guys, I'm Lauren from Sacramento.
We've been waiting to hear from you, Lauren. How's it going?
Oh, good. Thank you so much. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. We're just hanging out. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to hear from you, to be here with all of you. Lauren, what's your question for us today?
Yeah, so I'm just kind of curious, maybe from your guys' own perspectives, what does that post-game locker room environment look like for a team like Germany after such a hard loss?
Ooh.
Oof. I don't want to be in there.
I think it's as bad as you think.
Yeah.
I think people who don't play high-level sports, maybe they don't get the same experience as we do in the locker room, because not only did your emotions, like the emotional part of it, just like so crushing, but you're just like physically totally wrecked as well. And when you put them together, it's this combination that is just excruciating. Like you are just so tired, mind, body, heart, everything. And you just are, there's just like literally nothing left in the tank. And there's few times in my normal life where I've felt like that, just completely wrecked. I feel like it's just such a unique experience to athletes, being drained mentally, emotionally, and physically. Like that doesn't often happen to people. And I mean, it's just one of the hardest feelings ever.
Yeah, you described that perfectly, Kling. It has me feeling just like really down in the dumps.
I see you. I'm so sorry.
I know it's okay, but it's just like reminding me of like being in a major, like being at a major tournament and just like the feeling of losing.
Olympics 2026. Oh,
2026
or 2016.
2016. That's actually what I was thinking about, and I was just an alternate there, and I was just like, this is awful. It's just awful. You're so depleted. You like you're like thinking back through the game. You're like thinking back through the last month of being together. You're like, we came so close, but like we didn't. And it's just like, it's so devastating. It's really tough. I also think what I will share is like, you go back to the locker room after a tough loss, and you can't even just like sit and chat. Like, you have to go. People have doping. People have to
Yeah.
go do media. You
Yeah.
have to get your stuff together. You have to get back on the bus. You have to get back to the hotel. Now you have to pack your bags. You have a meeting. You have to book flights. Like,
Yeah.
the logistics come in way sooner than you would like them to, because you want to just sit there with your team and like cry.
Yeah.
But you're like, the admin is like, I've got to get you guys home. Like, we've got
Yeah.
to get on the bus. We've got to eat dinner. And then you have to like go through the motions of these other things that you're like, this doesn't even like matter anymore.
Yeah. And I'm like, just give me a beer and fries. Like,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
like some tissues.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, where are my fries? Where are my tissues? Where is my beer?
Yeah. It's really brutal. Lauren, are you sorry that you asked, or what?
Yeah, sorry for such a bummer question.
Dang, Lauren from Sacramento.
Yeah, she's putting us through it. Lauren, thank you so much for calling. It actually was a great question.
great.
It's just one that Kling and I have a little bit too much experience with, and we're like, it's terrible. All right, let's do one more question. David, if you're there, can you take yourself off mute and tell us where you're from?
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, David. We're
Hi.
good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. It's good to be back here again.
Well, it's great to hear from you, David. Remind me where you're from.
Yeah, I'm currently living in Illinois where it's really, really hot. It's like 90 degrees here.
Oh my
Dang.
gosh, wow, heat wave in Illinois. All right, David, it's so great to hear from you. What's your question for us?
Yeah, so ironically, my question, like, I actually have two questions. My first question is kind of similar to Lauren's when it comes to the extra time. How do players mentally and emotionally just get themselves through the extra time, especially when their body is physically worn out and there's just nothing really left in the tank? And the second question I have is, how do the teams choose who has the home kits and who has the away kits?
Oh, I'll take that part.
Good, take it, because I don't know the answer.
Okay, so actually, you don't get to choose. FIFA chooses before the match even starts and basically says, you're the home team, you're the away team, and tells you which kit you're going to wear, whether it's your white kit or your red kit or your whatever kit. Like, they tell you. And then they also tell the goalkeepers.
So it's up to the
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
up to the organization. Up
Yeah,
to the-
it literally has
governing body.
nothing. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the teams unless it's a friendly. So if it's a friendly, they'll talk before, and typically the home team will say, we're wearing this kit. And then the other team wears whatever kit that's not going to clash.
Yeah. David, incredible question. I'm going to take your first question, which was like, how do you prepare yourself mentally and emotionally in extra time, knowing that you're like so physically exhausted? I think that you really just, part of it is a mind game, first of all, to like trick the other team into thinking that you're not as tired as they are. So part of it is like jogging over it, like in between on the breaks, to like keep moving so that the other team is looking over and being like, how are they jogging over right now? Like, I can barely walk over there. That's like a mind game, like a trick.
Love
The
that,
other-
Sam.
Always do that. Always did that. The other thing is like, I think you're just really trusting your preparation, and you're just going, we trained for this. This is why we did all those. This is what you're saying to your teammates. This is why we did all those sprints. This is why we worked hard in the off season. This is why we're in the gym. This is why we like trained, gamesmanship for extra time. This is why we trained up a player. This is why we trained down a player. Like, you've gone through all of the scenarios, and in that moment, if you feel prepared, you can overcome physical exhaustion, because you're just like, it's only 15 more minutes. It's only 30 more minutes. Like, we've just got to get through it. Sometimes physically it overtakes you and you get a cramp and you need a sub, and that there's not really that much you can do about that at that point. But I think it's like really just about leaning on what you've done to prepare, and then like really leaning on your teammates around you. Kling, do you agree?
Yeah, 100% agree. And I think sometimes too, you can kind of hide in matches at those like really, really exhausting moments. Like, you can hide in shape a little bit when there's time to like walk, or when like take a slow throw in. Like, you just find the moments where you can actually take a break too, so you can then come back and go harder. But I think, Sam, it's completely right being like, this is why we trained for 120 minutes. We didn't train for 90.
Yeah. Exactly. And so you just kind of like trust the staff and you trust your teammates and you get through it, David. But it's such a good question because watching these players do this, I'm like kind of shocked that I was able to do it. It looks so hard and so draining. And so it's incredibly impressive to watch them do it now. Kling, who's that?
This is Sesame.
Hello, Sesame.
Hello, Sesame.
I know you can't hear me because Kling has her headphones in, but we have a Pomeranian on screen, everybody. It's a very special moment. David, I'm going to let you go now. Thank you so much for calling in. We hope to hear from you again soon.
Thanks, David.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. That's about time for questions. I do have one more question for Kling, though, and then I'm going to let everybody go. Let's rewind for just a second. This is about to get heated because it was heated yesterday. Yesterday, Kling, we watched England.
I already know what you're going to say.
I know. Let me get through the question, though. We watched England claw their way back against Italy in the first semifinal. It was a wild game. Becky Sauerbrunn, your good friend, and I went live after that game, and things, for one of the first times ever, got heated between me and Becky. Things were also heated here in the chat because everybody has some real opinions about this. Kling, there was a PK called against Italy late in the game that led to Chloe Kelly's goal to secure a spot in the final for England. Kling, PK or no PK?
Okay, well, let's just see what Sesame thinks. Raise your hand if you think it's not a penalty. Sesame. Wow, that was really, really quick. I mean,
Sesame
he did not
like
even
so
think about
opinionated.
it. I don't think it's a penalty at all. Especially, I was telling Sam, like, there were times where I would get absolutely wrecked on the back post by an attacker where the ball is being crossed in from the opposite side and I'm having to like guide it out the other way to the opposite side of the box.
Yeah.
And I will just get absolutely smashed in the back. Never a call. Never. So we're going to have one standard for attackers, but a different standard for defenders. And I just don't think that's right. If it's going to be fine, if it's going to be a foul, call it, but then also call it on the attackers. I just cannot imagine having these double standards in the box. Like, it just doesn't make sense. But this is the life we live.
Okay.
I'm not bitter whatsoever, if you can tell.
I know that everybody already knows what I think. I am hesitant to put myself out there again.
Come on.
Especially in front of such opinionated beings like Sesame, who is probably going to be judging me. I'm sorry. I'm a rule follower. Always have been. Always will be. I think the rule book would say that it was a foul. And because it was inside the box, it was a PK. The ref was literally right there. But I did hear an interesting take today. I'm not conceding. I'm just proposing an interesting take that had the ref let it just go to VAR first before directly calling it, because it would have been reviewed.
Mm-hmm.
Then VAR could have made the call without having to overturn it if it wasn't clear and obvious. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense.
And I thought that was a really interesting take.
But isn't that the whole point of
I don't necessarily
VAR?
agree with.
Isn't that the whole point of VAR?
Now I'm like, why did I bring this up?
The whole point of VAR is in the moments that matter the most, we use it. I don't really like using VAR so much in general throughout the matches. Like, I think it's just, it gets in the way and makes the game clunky. And
but you're like, a good opportunity for it was to review this.
Absolutely.
But had VAR reviewed this, it would have been a PK. Sorry.
Maybe. I don't know. We heard the rules. What's the rules analyst name again? Mark, I think. And he was saying that it was very soft. Very soft.
It can be
very
soft. It's a soft PK. It's still a PK.
No, and that's not what he's saying. He's saying that, like, calling that in a semifinal match. Mark, where you at, Mark?
We've got to, you know what we need to do? We need to get Mark on a podcast.
I think we should.
And we gotta
we'll
like
settle
actually
it
have this
once
discussion.
And for all.
I am gonna see. We are recording a Euros check-in pod with Becky. That's gonna come out on Friday. I'm gonna see if we can get a refereeing expert on the show.
I love that. I will call in.
Well, you're not the expert, Clay.
I'm not saying I'm the expert. I'm saying I'm calling in to be a part of the discussion.
You just want to call in and fight.
I want to be in the action, Sam. Let me be in the action.
All right, I've just got to keep it civil around here. We've got a lot of people in the chat. We've got me and Kling are fighting. Me and Sesame might even be fighting. I'm not, though. I could never fight Sesame. I would do whatever Sesame says. Okay, we're going to let everybody go on this one, but it was a great way to end the show. Coming up next for TWG, we've got a very special interview with Rose Lavelle coming out tomorrow, everybody. Dawn in Memphis. I know you're so
Cool.
excited. Then we have this Euros check-in pod with Becky dropping on Friday. I will try to get a refereeing expert on. Finally, on Sunday, after the Euros final, we're going to go live again. Allie Riley's going to join us on that one. All of those podcasts, I know there are so many. They're going to be available here on YouTube and on our podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow along across all of our social media at Women's Game MIB. You can also send us an email at womensgamemib@menandblazers.com. I would love to hear from you. Kling, you're literally the best. I love doing this with you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Sam. I love doing it too. So did Sesame.
I'm so glad to hear that. Next time you and Becky are chatting during a game, please add me to the little group chat, please.
I will consider it if you cede to our point.
Never. All right. Thank you, everybody, for calling in, for being here. Thanks to the team at the Women's Game and Men in Blazers. I'm Sam Mewis. Thank you all. We'll see you soon.